weather. I lay down a couple of coats and it starts raining. So annoying. I'm going to put the Harley at the back, and then I'm just going to push this in a touch and work with it here a little bit. I still want to do some bits around the engine, but it has to be clean, water free, and kind of just ready from that angle. So guys, lots of prep work, lots of taping off. You have to tape off areas that you don't even consider in by the cam chain. I think I'm going to take off this bit here. I think that's going to stay off anyway. I'll give that to him separately. I don't know if that pops off. That'd be nice to do red maybe. Obviously that area there. And then we just got to be a bit careful with the high temp spray, that's all. We're going to spray it, be a bit careful. We don't want it on gaskets or anywhere, but we can scrape it off, so not the end of the world. And it's just, you know, a couple of light coats, guys. We're just making it better. Just be wary. Look, that's still dusty there, so I need to get cloths into that area there. What we don't want is to be spraying on top of crap, because then it won't stick. So we need to try and make sure that doesn't happen. And it's quite hard to do on an engine like this. It's quite hard to see what's kind of just crackled old paint and what's dirt. So keep your spray going. Brake cleaner's the best, because it takes away all residues, it takes away oils as well. And that's kind of what you want at this stage. And yeah, and then really lightly put some coats of high temp engine paint down and around. Be wary of the frame. I've covered the other side. I'm going to cover this side as well. Be wary of certain areas. I don't want paint going in there. I'm going to chuck some tape on that as well. You know, you just got to be careful. It's very easy to skip all these parts and just dump it on, but actually it will look much better in the end if you've done it properly. And that's what I've learned over the years. And I still don't do things, you know, 100% properly, but I'm much better than I used to be. Because I'm a bit more meticulous about it. Like there, look, the paint would not have stuck on that, and I thought it was fine because I caked it. So you've got to do that a couple of times on both sides. You can have basically no random dirt, or the paint just won't stick to it. That's the key. Right, let's get rid of this 14 tax disc. That was the last time it was on the road, funny enough. 2014. Actually, it weren't. It was earlier than that. 7, 8. Yeah, about 2014ish. Really not needed any more tax discs for obvious reasons. I don't want to paint this area, but I'm going to give it a bit of a clean. Maybe even put some tape down there. Maybe put some tape around this silver here. Just want to make sure, kind of do the best job I can at the moment. So first layer of black is basically dusted on, guys. Just dust it on really light. Think about any areas that you've missed like this, look. But yeah, it will look better. Dust it on. That's going to be a tack coat. That's going to be your first kind of coat that's going to help you out. It's going to help you all tack. That's why it's called a tack coat. And then we'll look at what's next from there. Tack coat first. Do 2 or 3 of them. It doesn't hurt. 2 or 3 tack coats. And then we'll look at thickening it up. Then we do a couple of thick coats. We'll call them wet coats. But when you're looking at kind of satin or matte or high temp paints, you don't really need wet coats. Lots of light coats works very well. There's really no issues with that. But it's more about saving the paint, really. It's more about minimising wastage. So yeah, 5 minutes. It's warm enough today. Couple of 5 minutes to kind of settle. Couple more light coats, and then that engine will look as good as new. And that's great news. That's exactly what we want. Then we need to look at engine casings there. That one's a right pain in the arse to get smooth. I'm gonna have to use sandpaper. There's another one of them somewhere in worse condition. But we're going in the right direction. I've got the brand new handlebars, which I'm excited about. I'm quite excited about. We need to look at the fan. Why the fan isn't switching itself on and off. That's something we need to consider. It may be that we buy a new one. Alright. It may be that we buy a new one. Look at this, I've just seen this. So that's a hidden area, but if we don't treat that now, it will spread. I'm going to have to rub that down a touch and get some of that rust remedy on it. Otherwise, yeah, it will just continue. So what sits there actually? We've got engine here. The tank maybe sits that low. Let's get it treated so it doesn't carry on. We want this bike to be on the road another 20 years. We don't want it rotting away, you know, hidden bits of rust. So I'm going to give that a clean at some point and sort that out. Carry on. I'm going to bring out the reds again so that they can keep curing. And second it rains, we'll run it all back in. So here are the reds. These were red already. So I'm just, but that wasn't. That was black maybe. That's just a tensioner. I'm just going to put these 3 bits of red on, but I'm using this hard textured paint. It's meant to look nice. At the moment it doesn't look as textured as I'd like it, so I think you have to flake some on. So get one kind of full coat and then flake it on, I think. But that's not how these normally work. It's normally the thicker the better. But I'm going to try flaking a little bit on to get some texture. Guys, this weather is ridiculous. I packed up completely, went and got a snack for lunch, and now the phone's saying that the weather's fine for the next couple of hours. But I know I did this earlier. I'll put it all back out and the rain will come back. I am going to put it all back out because I do want to keep going. There's some bits I'm still kind of looking at and working on. The red paint I need to kind of dry properly, and I need to start the black paint and ideally the lacquering. I want to get that kind of all done in one hit. So that's where we're going. These are the 2 side casings we're looking at. This one's going to need a fair amount of sanding down to get it looking right. And then my aim is to black base coat them, and then red paint in the middle to pop out the Kawasaki, and then clear over the top so it's all a bit more solid. That's my aim. I'm not sure if I really have the skill to make that happen, but it's something I'll try and do. In regards to the actual red paint, I don't know if I've got a red paint pen. That would be handy. That would be easy. Otherwise, I guess you buy some and you drip it in, don't you? Or I've seen people squirt it in. They've squirted it in syringes. But yeah, the paint pen would probably be the quickest, easiest and thinnest stuff to work. So let's have a look. I'll pull the bike back out. We'll have a look at the engine, because that's been sitting 20 minutes now. That'll give us some idea how the engine's looking. And I'll get the reds back out as well, because they need to settle good and proper. The ideal situation today for me would be to get the red cam cover back on the bike so it's kind of secure. And then we're looking at kind of putting the main engine part back together and working around it from now on, basically. All of the kind of neatening up and rear bits and these kind of rubber metal bits there that can all be neatened up, we'll do at a slightly later stage. This bit bothers me here. This is the rear brake shoe outer housing. The problem it bothers me, guys, is because I've never taken a shaft drive rear wheel off. So I'm gonna Google it and see what happens. I don't know if there's oils in there. I just don't know how it works. My assumption is you take that massive nut out, it all comes out maybe like it should, and the wheel pops off that way like it would a moped, but I'm gonna have to Google that one. But I do need to get that plate off because it's got to go black. That kind of old weird gold seems nice enough, but it's ruined. It's no good. So black, black, black. This bike's gonna look stunning in black. So that's it from the engine painting part, guys. I'm not going too far. That's high temp paint. It goes on thick. It stays on. It looks much better. It will look even better when it's all pieced together. It's always tempting to go nuts, but just better, guys. It just needs to look better. I know the guy loves this bike, so that's fine. We'll make sure we do it to the best of our ability. But yeah, better at this stage is good. And it actually looks great. It doesn't have the flakes anymore. That's all come off. It looks one nice neat colour. It really contrasts well against the black. That's what we're going to do with this whole bike. Contrast it well against the new black. Tanks down here. I have a rough idea what I'm doing with the tank because it's in good nick, no dents, no major scratches, just small areas of rust, like here for example. So I think in the same way Nat would rub down one of his finals, I think that's the aim I'm going to take here. I might need to go a little bit deeper. So I've bought 12, 15 and 2000 grit, and that was kind of my fault. 12 it, 15 it, 2000 it, paint it, and that should get you a nice shine. And actually that should get you a nice shine. I've got some really nice Kawasaki decals. They're 3D ones, they're chrome. And then I've got some clear coat 2K, that's good stuff. So this tank could be okay. I think my main focus at first is going to be on the bottom, because no point doing all the top when the bottom looks like that. I'm going to get that all painted with the rust remover. I'm going to try and take off as much rust as I can first, and then I'll be dousing that with paint as well, so that it's kind of done and good to go and safe. To be fair, the actual rust remedy would be enough all on its own. I may do that, but a coat of paint wouldn't hurt. Okay guys, so I've fully stripped the bike. Just cleaning out these fuel pipes. The ideal would be to put new ones on at this stage. I don't know if you can buy sets. It might be worth looking into. I'll get Jake to look into that. Basically, I'm Ed China and Jake is Mike Brewer. So Jake can look into a new hose set. It would make sense. I don't know if you can buy these and cut them and make your own. Maybe I should measure them. But yeah, this is how stripped we are, because now I want to get the cam cover back on. That makes sense. So basically you have to make up as much room as you can to be able to slip it on. Look at this chain. This chain is obviously very slack because the tensioner is off the bike. I know the tension is off the bike because I took it off. So that's going to go straight back on next, because I want that to be kind of done. Now with the coolant channels here, I'm going to put new oil seals, new seals on the end, and then get them kind of bolted back up, because they're a bit awkward to get in and out as well. And yeah, and then kind of we are going in the right direction now, guys. For me, the next step, one of the next steps is the exhaust. I need to get the exhaust kind of done back on. I've got a brand new wrap for it, and then everything else is kind of neatening. So we're putting on new rear shocks. We've got them in mind at least. I've told you already I need to look at this rear part, because you can't leave it like that. Tyres, I think we're going to put on a new set of tyres. We're going to have to, really. These have been sitting a long time. To be fair, they feel really good. Obviously, I've been around tyres many years. You can tell if they're really rubbery. Remember, this was in an underground car park, an actual heated car park, but they are still 7 years old. We did check the dates, and they are 6 or 7. They're 7 years old, I believe. So it wouldn't hurt to put a new set on. Yeah, so the rear shocks we've got in mind are really nice. They're basically black with a bit of red on them, I think, or something. I don't know if they're adjustable. These are good shocks, but I think they're just a bit past it for their time. Let's get that cam cover on top. There's the red cover on top. Make sure the gasket is seated. I used some some grease like last time. Now look, I've already got a couple of chips on the edges, because remember, the edges are always the toughest part. But what we can do is we can touch them up with a little paint brush. So we'll spray some into a tub, touch that up with a little paintbrush. That's not an issue at all. But for now, getting the bike on safe back together is kind of what's needed. So that's happening now. A little bit of black grease here that will wash off. I'll get a cloth on that in a minute. That's my fault. But yeah, remember, most of that is covered by the tank, guys. So you just kind of see a bit sticking out. In my head now, looking at it, I still think black would have been better. But the tank covers most of it, so you're only really going to see kind of like that sticky out, and that will be okay. That will be fine. So good. Let me get the top bolts back in. If the tensioner is dry to touch, I'll get the tensioner back in so that we're kind of back into normal running territory kind of space, really. Okay guys, the more we do, the better it looks. So I put on the original coolant hoses. Now I've put brand new retaining clips to give them a good chance of working. I cleaned them thoroughly inside. I just caked them in brake cleaner and let them sit for half an hour. And they came out spanking. But I know me and Jake are going to, I say me and Jake, he's never bloody here. By the way guys, Jake's girlfriend only lets him out every second weekend. So if you feel like dropping a comment below how you feel about that, please do. I'm only messing, but he does only come here every second weekend. What was I going to say? Yes, so them hoses I think will be fine. Once all the cooling system's back together, we're going to flush it out. I need to check with Nat's Knacker's Yard what he used last time. I don't know if it's plain white vinegar or plain white vinegar mixed with water, blah blah blah, so on so on. But yeah, but basically you flush the system out top to bottom because it is a bit weird, a bit caked. I know Jake bought some really good coolant somewhere that someone used on another bike, not me. But you'd be nuts to put in a great coolant and then flush it, you know, with that stuff. I mean, that stuff's designed to clean the system, but that will probably last 6 months to a year in this system because it's cleaning out. Whereas actually, if we flush it first quickly with some vinegar and water and then put that in, it will last a good 5 years. Depending on, you have to check with coolants, they'll say how long they last on them. That should be 5 years. I think this is looking stunning, guys. I'm surprised I'm back to this stage already, if I'm being honest. I didn't really fully expect it today. I didn't think I'd get that much done. But I'm glad. What I'm going to do next is, while I'm kind of here, I'm going to be dropping, cleaning, alright, and snipping these hoses so that we've got a nice, fresh, good connection. Always really important because these have been pulled about. These are quite flimsy, these ones as well. In fact, look, one-handed, look at that. And you can see that the wiring in there has gone green. That's exactly why we clean it, and we basically chop this bit off here, re-thread it, and you've got a lovely connection. Do that on both sides, you'll get the best spark you can. Make sure that the insides of here are clean as well. Brake cleaner, contact cleaner, all does the same job. So guys, these are the bits where you start to see it coming together. So tensioner's back in, that's great, that's torqued down. I cleaned all of these silicone hoses, I trimmed the ends so they've got good connection. That's exactly what's needed. I want the coolant hoses to go back in next because they're kind of obviously an important part. I want the carb boots to go back on, and if we're very lucky, the carbs to go back on. But I think the carbs will need a bit of a clean kind of somehow. I mean, I don't want to go too nuts because they're just carbs, but I don't know. See, I don't want to overdo the reds, so I don't want to do the caps. I think the carbs just need to stay how they are. I don't want to mess with any other colours. I think they're going to stay as they are. They're going to go in. You can do anything to carbs. Jake's got all of the stuff. He's got the sonic cleaners and all of that stuff, but I don't want to do it, actually. I think it gets too picky, and I think a bike needs to be kind of ready, used, really. So I'm not going to do anything. We've cleaned them. I don't know if we rebuilt these ones or if we just thoroughly cleaned them. Either way, these carbs are good. They're going back on. The boots will go on. Let's get what's next? It's this, isn't it? It's the coolant hose. Now, one thing I'm aware of is that I didn't do the bottom. I didn't turn it over. So, will you be able to see that? You kinda can. I think I need to do the bottom as well. That's a bit annoying, but also not the end of the world. I'll go back to my spray booth. I'll get that coated. Honestly, I'm going to do a couple of rough quick coats on that because I want to get that back on in a minute. I'm going to put brand new seals on the top as well. So I'll get that coated. We'll get that back in and on. I'm going to start looking at the side casings. That big clutch one is a right pain in the arse. So I'm going to see what I can do, but I think I need to sandpaper that quite a lot. And then next step for me is kind of getting rid of handlebars, levers, all of this basically, cleaning what's underneath, doing something with this cover here. It's terrible, probably black. And yeah, so you know, we're getting there. It's bit by bit.